Integrity. It's a quality that we all like and admire, a quality that we all say we should have, a quality that is valued and held as a core belief in numerous religions. The writer C.S. Lewis, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, once said, "Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching." This is one of the most basic definitions of integrity, and it's one that many of us use today. Though it's not hard to understand the meaning of integrity as a whole, you may find it a little harder to grasp the meaning of one small part of it, the right thing, or as most of us call it, the good thing. We like to think that everything is good or bad, right? That everything is right or wrong, black or white. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. In this day and age, it has become almost impossible for us to draw a clear and unbiased line between what is good and what is bad. So, anybody know why? Well, there are a few theories that can help us better explain our inability to tell what the right thing to do is and what isn't. The first theory is time and culture. Something that used to be considered good and right 100 years ago, or maybe more than that, may not be the same now. And something that is considered to be good and right in one culture may not be in another. A study published in August of 2015 clearly demonstrates just how different our definitions of what is right and what is wrong and what integrity is can be. In the study, participants from Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, and Beijing were asked to fill out a survey where they were given a list of behaviors and to say whether that behavior was wrong or not. The results from the study showed that while 70% of the participants from Beijing thought that spitting on a public street was wrong, only 11% of the Westerners thought the same. What's more shocking is that while 81% of Westerners said that killing a person was wrong, only 42% of the participants from Beijing said the same thing. That's less than half of them. This shows just how different our definitions of what is wrong and what is right and what integrity is can be. But our definitions of integrity aren't the only theory. The second theory is our unfortunate human nature, which stops us from being able to see what the right thing to do is and what isn't. This behavior can be seen extensively through the compensation effect. For example, say that you have been nothing but considerate and sincere for a very long time, and you decide to take a break from that and do something that would be considered wrong. While someone on the outside looking in would say that this is still, without a doubt, very much wrong and immoral, from the perspective of the person doing it, it won't be, as they'll be telling themselves that because they've been good for such a long time, they deserve this, and that in the end, it all balances out. Let me give you a more familiar example for this, something closer to everyday life. Imagine you decided to go on a diet, and that to eat nothing but the healthiest and the most nutritious foods for a month. This diet turns out to go exceedingly well for you. Well, that is until a week or two into the diet, you come across a huge tub of ice cream. Failing to stop yourself, you empty the entire content of the tub into your belly and tell yourself that because you've eaten nothing but healthy food for such a long time, you deserve this. The compensation effect, over the years has been the cause of a myriad of mistakes and sins. Believe it or not, integrity is nowhere near as common or as realistic as it seems to be in our world. In this day and age, it is getting harder and harder for us to maintain integrity in the community and society that we have built for ourselves. This is in part due to the fact that we humans have invented countless ways to justify and even encourage the sins that we are committing. A theory that embodies our justification of that includes the Pygmalion effect, group mentality, and the pressure to conform. The first part of this theory, the Pygmalion effect, refers to our tendency to act the way that other people treat us. For example, a person who is treated as though they are a valuable and crucial member of a team will probably act like they really are one. And in contrast, someone who is treated with suspicion will act in a way that justifies this perception of them. In other words, they will be suspicious. The second part of this theory, the group mentality, describes our behavior and describes the time when we adapt and pick up the things that other people around us are doing without thinking and without considering our feelings. And why do we do this, you ask? Well, it's because that we think that because there are so many people around us doing the same thing, no single person has to be responsible for it. Think of a person tipping 20% when dining out alone, but only 4% when going with a group, because no one is in charge, no one is responsible. Or a person readily and willingly kicking and punching other people for TV on Black Friday, because no one is responsible. And the third part of this theory, which is the pressure to conform, is simple and very easy to understand, though not so easy to stay away from. A classic example that can be used to embody this is the ask paradigm, or the ask conformity experiment, which was conducted in 1951. In the study, Sullivan Ask put a real participants in a room with 7 actors, who led the real participants into believing that they were, like them, real and genuine participants. Ask then showed all of the participants a card with a single line drawn on it. Then he showed them another card, this one with 3 lines, each of a different length, and asked them which of the 3 lines was the same length as the one on the first card. This is where it gets interesting. The actors, who had all agreed beforehand which answer they were going to choose, all chose wrong ones. For example, if the answer was C, they would choose A or B. And the participants, who always went last, was then given a choice. They could either conform to the people around them and choose the same wrong answer, or they could choose the one that they knew was right. It seems pretty obvious what they should do, doesn't it? Apparently not. Ask measured the number of times that the participants cracked under the pressure to conform and chose the wrong answer along with everyone before them. And he found out that while 75% of the real participants conformed at least once, only 25% of them never did. And when asked about the reason for the choice, most of the participants said that they didn't really believe that the answer that they chose was true or correct, but they chose it anyway because they were scared of being ridiculed or being called peculiar. And the same thing applies to our everyday life, whether we are carrying out an action or making a choice. And because when you see people around you doing something, you are very likely to do it with them, whether you knew that they were right or wrong, immoral or not. Seems like quite a bleak view in our society, doesn't it? However, it's not all hopeless for us. There are many people in the past who have shown integrity, and many people in the present who are showing it now. And Warren Buffett is one of them. He is famous for being an investor and a CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, but that isn't the only thing that he is known for. He is also known for being a philanthropist who puts other people's needs above his own wealth. How do we know this? Well, as of 2017, he has donated $46.6 billion, or more than 70% of his total net worth, all of his wealth, to charity. And he has also once said, were we to use more than 1% of my claim checks on ourselves, neither our happiness nor our well-being would be enhanced. In contrast, that remaining 99% could have a huge effect on the health and welfare of others. His integrity and that of many others shows us just how important integrity still is. So no matter how messed up or how dishonest our world becomes, integrity will still stay important. It is important for a reason. So even if you may not be praised all the time for having integrity, or doing the right thing, or telling the truth, that doesn't mean that the world doesn't need it. And maybe us humans just have to look at integrity from a different perspective and think about it in a different way. I am Tường from 787. Thank you for your attention.